over in India. It's just unbelievable. And so all of that started unfolding, and George Washington wrote letters. He said, an evil group's taken over. I'm not going to be part of it. I'm not going to be king. I'm not going to be part of this whole order. An evil group out of France and Germany has taken our lodges over. In Europe, they're now taking over here. He then discovered that Benjamin Franklin was a double agent with the British and working for the dark side. And so you have to understand, I mean, Davy Crockett, let's fast forward. Davy Crockett was a Mason. Sam Houston was a Mason. My family, the heirs, they raised Colonel Travis's son. It's even in the movie The Alamo, the new one. The heirs, it's a big scene in the film. My family on the other side, the Joneses, the Johnsons, they were all involved in the Revolutionary War. They were involved in Spanish land grants before that. All Masons, all high level. And undoubtedly into the occult. Undoubtedly. But still, they believed that it was about something good. But then, you follow things down through history, and my dad's 10 years old on a hunting trip with his great uncle, who was a 33rd degree Mason, and, of course, been involved in Prohibition, just all sorts of stuff with, what went on in Houston and just Al Capone, all that stuff. Killed people and gone in and flashed the Masonic sign and gotten off. And he told my dad, don't ever join the Masons. It's bad. As an old man with heart trouble, he's telling my dad, don't get involved in this. So we get on air and start bashing Masons. 97% of them or more. They get them in. It's brotherhood. It's about Jesus. It's about God. We're standing up for liberty, the Constitution, the Founding Fathers. We're almost 60-something% were Masons. Where Sam Houston was. We're for liberty. We're for freedom. And they really believe that. A lot of cops are Masons. A lot of firemen are Masons. They hear us bash Masons. They're like, well, that's a lie. I'm a Mason. So we do damage when we get on air and we say that all Masons are bad. No, they're definitely involved in something that is bad. And they're definitely involved in something that at its top is run by good old Beelzebub. But, Andrew Jackson was a Mason. An incredible individual. He was not bad. I've studied him. Okay? So you have to understand that. You have to realize that. And then you can get a wider perspective. They infiltrate the Catholic Church. They infiltrate the Protestant Church. They infiltrate every major movement that's got any power behind it. They take the groups over. So we can argue and debate all day about who runs the New World Order, who's in control of it, who the masters of it are. And then people all want to finger this group or that group. No. It's every group is run by these 4,000+ private intelligence agencies that the old name of them was secret society. So people say, well, who runs it? Is it the Illuminati? Is it Skull and Bones? Is it Bohemian Grove? Is it the CFR? The mainstream reporters always say, who is it? Who is it? Those are all just chapters and subgroups and different management groups and think tanks of the same idea. Like George Bush Sr. said in 1991, it's a big idea, a new world order. It's an idea. It's a process. It's a program. That's why they put their symbol, the all-seeing eye, on everything. It's a gang sign. It's a tag. It's to let all the brotherhood know we're in control. It's their flag. Their flag. There's more Illuminati all-seeing eyes on buildings and in TV and on the money and on the credit cards and their, our American flags flying over used car dealerships. It's everywhere. It's their language, their hidden language that's hidden in plain view. But let me just go back. The mystery schools always believed that you progress spiritually through these different levels up into godhood. And so they took Darwin, who just repackaged ideas they already had, and he came up with the theory of evolution. And we're not here debating that today. We're just stating the facts. And they were married in, and only married in, to a couple families. The Huxleys, later the Wells, and others. And we're going to get into that in a few minutes. And you had futurist families who developed and codified these Babylon Mystery School religious ideas into scientific sales pitches. And so you go back about 130, 40 years ago, you've got Cecil Rhodes, you've got H.G. Wells, you've got all these different individuals. Cecil Rhodes controlled the world diamond monopoly out of Rhodesia. Rhodesia, north of South Africa, named after him. And that's power. He was advisor to the Queen, Order of the Garter, all these laurels. H.G. Wells became the advisor, was that about 100 years ago, to the Queen, her futurist. And basically, you already had a world empire, and it was Illuminati controlled. And the British figured out that it was really hard to hold India, really hard to hold areas of Africa, really hard to hold areas in the Caribbean and areas in Asia and China if they had an open white guy sitting there at a palace as a viceroy or, as a duke or as a viscount running things, or the East India Company running things, the British East India. So they learned how to put puppets in. And they began to develop a plan. When we get back, I'll break it down for you. And this is how they operate. And then they wedded it with the ideas of the father of science fiction. It's unbelievable. Wait until I go over this with you. Just wait. We'll be right back. I'm Alex Jones. Welcome back. All right, continuing with the history of these individuals. So, by the year 1900, a large majority of the world's countries were either completely dominated and occupied by the British alone, or they were heavily influenced and puppeteered. And then most of the other countries of the world, that is, in what we call the Third World today, were dominated or completely controlled by the Dutch or the French or the Germans or the Spanish or the Italians. It was a colonial world. It was under several different empires. But the royalty of England had intermarried with all of them. And they had intermarried with them. And since then, you'd had a merger and a deal with the Illuminati and the British royalty and an intermarrying there. The Rothschilds and some of the other big rich families married in to the British / predominantly, they were already Saxon, Norman, but then they had married in right before the Revolutionary War fully with the Germans, but all of that gets into pedigree, who we're exactly talking about here.